My name is Emily. I am 20 years old. I lived in the city for my studies. My home was far away, in a small town. I had been in the city for almost 1 year. Then my college gave me a long holiday, so I decided to return home. The train was slow, but I did not mind. I looked out the window and watched the green fields. I felt excited. My mother had called me many times that day. She asked about my train. She wanted to know when I would reach home. Her voice was happy. She said she was waiting for me. I thought maybe she just missed me a lot. When the train stopped at the station, I picked up my bag. I walked out and took a taxi to my town. It was already evening. My mother opened the door when I arrived. She hugged me very tightly. Her eyes were wet. "My dear Emily, you are home," she said. I felt warm in her arms. I want to ask you something before I go on. If this story touches your heart, please subscribe, share it, and leave a comment where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. After we sat in the living room, I asked my mother for a glass of water, but she did not move. She just gave me a strange smile. "Your water is coming," she said. I was surprised. A moment later, a young man entered the room with a glass of water. He looked shy. His hands were shaking a little. He gave me the glass and said softly, "Here, please." I looked at him. He was tall and slim. His hair was dark, and his eyes were blue. He seemed around 22 years old. I smiled and said, "Thank you." My mother's face shone when she saw him. Then she said, "This is John. He will stay with us for some time." I looked at her with surprise. "Stay with us?" I asked. She said, "Yes, dear. John lost his parents last week. He has no house. I decided to help him. He will live with us now." I felt a little unsure, but I also felt sad for him. "I am sorry for your loss," I said to him. He only gave me a small smile. That night we had dinner together. My mother asked John to sit at the table with us. He ate quietly. He did not speak much. I wanted to ask him many things, but I thought maybe he was still sad. After dinner, my mother went to her room. John helped me clean the dishes. When our eyes met, I felt a strange closeness. I did not know why. The next morning, I woke up early. My mother had already made breakfast. John was helping her in the kitchen. He looked different in the morning light. His eyes seemed bright. My mother placed my favorite food on the table. "Eat, Emily," she said. John stood and waited. He looked shy again. I said, "Please, sit and eat with us." My mother also told him to sit. He sat near me. I looked at him carefully for the first time. His eyes were the same color as mine. I felt a strange bond. Later that day, my mother said she was tired. She asked me to go to the market with John. I did not expect that. I wanted to say no, but John was already ready. We walked to the market together. At first, it was quiet. Then slowly we started to talk. He told me about his old town. He said he had few friends. I told him about my studies in the city. After some time, I was not shy anymore. In the market, we bought food and some small things for the house. John asked me for help to choose. He listened to me with care. I liked that. On the way home, we stopped at a small shop to drink tea. We sat outside and talked more. The air was cool and the street was busy. For the first time, I felt happy to be with him. I forgot about my mother waiting at home. When we came back, I thought my mother would be upset because we were late. But she was not upset at all. She was smiling. She even asked me to take John to the park the next day. I did not understand why she wanted us to spend time together, but I agreed. That night, I could not sleep. I thought about John's blue eyes. I remembered his quiet smile. He was a stranger, but it felt different. I asked myself, why do I feel this way? Is this my first love? The next morning, I woke up with the sound of birds outside my window. The sun was bright. I washed my face and looked into the mirror. My cheeks were red. I did not know why. I told myself it was just the long walk from yesterday. But I knew it was not only that. I was thinking of John. When I went to the kitchen, I saw him again. He was cutting bread. My mother was sitting near the stove. She looked at us and smiled. "Go to the park later," she said. I looked down at my plate and said nothing. I felt shy. After breakfast, my mother gave me some money and said, "Buy some fruit on the way." I looked at her. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. It was like she was testing me. I did not understand her mind. We walked together to the park. It was not far. There were many trees and flowers. Children were running and playing. Old men sat on benches and talked. I felt relaxed. John walked beside me in silence. Then he said, "Thank you for yesterday." I felt better. I smiled and said, "I also felt better." We sat on a bench under a big tree. A soft wind moved the leaves. I asked him about his parents. His face became serious. "They were kind people," he said. "They worked hard, but life was not easy. Then last week, they became sick and both passed away. It was too fast. I could not save them." His voice was low. My heart felt heavy for him. I whispered, "I am sorry, John." He looked at me and gave a small smile. "Now your mother is helping me. I am thankful. And you are kind too." His words touched me. I looked away because my eyes were wet. We stayed in the park for many hours. We talked about small things. He told me about his school days. I told him about my friends in the city. Sometimes we laughed. Sometimes we were quiet. When we walked back home, I felt close to him. It was not like being with a stranger anymore. It was like being with someone I knew for a long time. When we reached home, my mother was waiting at the door. She looked at both of us carefully. Then she smiled and said, "You are late again. Did you enjoy?" I said yes. John also said yes. She did not look angry. Instead, she looked too happy. That night at dinner, she asked John many questions. "Did Emily talk a lot? Did you feel good at the park?" I felt shy. I wanted her to stop, but John answered politely. He said, "Yes, she is kind." My face became hot. I looked at my plate. The next few days passed in the same way. My mother always asked me to go with John, to the market, to the park, or to buy things for the house. Slowly, I began to like these small trips. We laughed more. He started to tease me sometimes. He was not always shy now. I also felt free with him. One evening, we sat in the yard under the moonlight. My mother was inside. We talked softly. Then for a short moment, our eyes met. I felt my heart beat faster. I could not move. He did not move either. There was silence. Then he whispered, "You have the same eyes as me." I felt my face burn. I quickly looked away, but deep inside, I knew I liked him. That night when I went to my room, I lay on my bed and thought only of him. I smiled alone in the dark. I asked myself, is this love? Is this what people call first love? The next day, John helped me in the garden. We planted flowers together. Our hands touched when we passed the tools. He looked at me and laughed. I laughed too, but my heart was shaking. When my mother saw us, she looked pleased. She said, "You two look good together." My face turned red, but I also felt happy. But that happiness did not last long. A few days later, my mother changed. Her face was not bright anymore. She stopped asking us to go out together. She even asked John to stay away when I went to the market. I did not understand. Why was she different now? One night I went to her room and asked, "Mother, what is wrong? Why do you act like this? At first you wanted me to be with John. Now you push him away. What is in your mind?" She looked at me with a serious face. She said, "Emily, listen. I wanted John to feel at home. I did not want him to feel like a servant. That is why I asked you to spend time with him. But you must not think more than that." Her words hurt me. I said, "But Mother, I like him. I feel happy when I am with him." She shook her head. "No, Emily. You cannot like him in that way. Forget this thought. It is not right." She spoke in a strong voice. Then she told me to leave her room. I went back to my bed and cried. I could not understand. Why was she stopping me now? I loved her. I respected her. But I also felt something strong for John. My heart was divided. The next morning, I avoided John. I did not look at him, but he noticed. He asked, "Emily, are you angry with me?" I shook my head, but I could not tell him the truth. My mother was watching us. Days passed slowly. I missed talking to him freely. I missed walking to the park. I missed his blue eyes. I felt pain inside. I wanted to tell him that I liked him, but I was afraid of my mother. One evening, John knocked on my door. I opened it and looked at him. His face was serious. "Emily," he said, "I must ask you, do you feel the same as me? Because I feel close to you. I think of you all the time." His voice shook. My heart jumped. I wanted to say yes, but I thought of my mother. Tears filled my eyes. I whispered, "I do, John. I like you too." We stood in silence. Then he held my hand for the first time. My hand was small in his. I felt safe, but I was also afraid. At that moment, my mother's voice called from the hall. "Emily, where are you?" I quickly pulled my hand away. My heart raced. John looked down. Then he left the room. That night, I could not sleep again. I kept thinking about his words, his hand, his eyes. I also thought about my mother's serious face. Something was wrong. She was hiding something. But what? The next week, my mother invited some guests to the house. A woman and her daughter came. The daughter was very pretty. She had long blonde hair and wore a nice dress. My mother smiled and said, "Emily, this is Mary. She is the daughter of my friend. I want John to meet her." My face went pale. I looked at John. He looked confused. My mother asked them to sit together. She acted like a matchmaker. I felt pain in my heart. I could not believe my own mother was doing this. When the guests left, I went to her room and shouted, "Why, Mother! Why do you do this? Why do you want John with another girl? You know I like him." My voice broke. She looked at me with tears in her eyes but said nothing. She just closed her eyes and turned away. After that day, the house felt heavy. John was quiet. I was sad. My mother looked sick. She often stayed in her bed. She told me she was tired. The doctor said she must not take stress. I felt guilty. Maybe I had hurt her with my anger, but I could not stop loving John. My heart did not listen to me. One evening, I saw him in the garden. I walked up to him. I whispered, "I do not care what my mother says. I love you, John. You are my first love." He looked at me with wet eyes. He said, "I love you too." We hugged under the dark sky. At that moment, I felt both happy and scared. Happy because of love. Scared because of my mother. I did not know the truth yet, but I knew there was a secret. My mother was hiding it. A secret that could break my heart. The next morning was quiet. The house felt heavy. My mother stayed in her bed. She looked pale. I tried to give her food, but she ate only a little. John helped me clean the kitchen. We did not speak much. Both of us were worried. Later that day, I sat beside my mother. I held her hand. "Mother," I said softly, "why are you doing this to us? Why are you stopping me from loving John? Please tell me the reason. I cannot live in pain like this." Her eyes filled with tears. She looked away. "Emily, you cannot marry John. It is not possible. You must trust me." I felt angry and sad. But why? Give me one reason. I love him and he loves me. Why are you against it? You wanted me to spend time with him before. Now you want to break us apart. Please tell me the truth." My voice shook. She turned her face to the wall. "Not now. You will know one day. But please, do not ask me again." Her words cut my heart. I wanted to cry, but I stayed silent. That night, I went to the backyard. John was waiting there. His face was serious. "Emily," he said, "I cannot stay like this. I love you, but your mother does not want it. What should we do?" I looked into his blue eyes. My voice was soft. "I do not care. I will marry you. I will fight for you." His face lit up for a moment. Then he held my hands. "We will be together, Emily. We must be." We both smiled through our tears. For a short time, it felt like nothing could break us. But life is not always kind. The next week, my mother called guests again. Another young woman came to our house. She was polite and pretty. My mother looked at John and said, "This girl is better for you. Think about her." My heart broke again. I shouted at my mother after they left. "Why do you do this? Why do you hurt me? I will not marry anyone else. I will only be with John." My mother started crying. She said, "Emily, please do not hate me. If you want to know the reason, then wait for my last day." Her words shocked me. "Mother, do not say that. Please tell me now." But she only closed her eyes. I left the room in tears. Days passed. My mother's health became worse. The doctor came often. He said she must rest. I tried to stay calm, but I was breaking inside. I could not lose my mother, and I could not lose John. Then one morning, when I returned from the market, I saw people outside my house. Their faces were sad. My heart stopped. I ran inside. My mother was lying on the bed, her eyes closed forever. She was gone. I cried loudly. My whole world felt empty. John stood near me, his eyes full of tears. He tried to hold me, but I could not feel comfort. My mother was gone, and she left us with no answers. After the funeral, the house was silent. I stayed in my room, crying day and night. I felt lost. Then, one evening, I went to her room. I opened the drawer near her bed. Inside, I found a small box. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside, there was a paper. My heart beat fast as I unfolded it. It was a message from my mother. My eyes filled with tears as I read it. "My dear Emily, forgive me. I did not tell you the truth before. I loved John, but not as a son-in-law. I loved him as a son. He is your brother. You are not my real daughter. I adopted you from another family when you were a baby. But John was born from my own blood. That is why you cannot marry him. I wanted you to treat him like a brother, not a lover. Please do not hate me. I hid the truth to protect you. I love you forever." The paper fell from my hands. I sat on the floor, shaking. Brother? My first love was my brother? I could not believe it. My heart screamed. I felt sick. Tears covered my face. John came into the room. He saw me holding the paper. He asked softly, "What is it?" I gave it to him. He read it slowly. His face turned pale. He sat down on the bed. We both stayed silent. The truth was too heavy. Finally, he whispered, "So this is the reason." "We cannot be together, Emily." His voice was broken. I cried harder. "Why? Why did this happen to us? What is my mistake? What is your mistake? Why did life play with us?" He looked at me with tears. "We must accept it. We must live with it. I will leave this house. You must live your life. I will live mine. But I will always care for you, as a brother." I felt my heart break into pieces. My first love was not mine. It was a secret I never knew, a secret that destroyed my dream. Days turned into weeks. John left the house. I stayed alone. I often sat in the garden, remembering his smile, his voice, his eyes. I wanted to forget, but I could not. He was my first love, and also my brother. Now I am 20 years old. I lost my mother. I lost my first love. I lost the life I wanted. But I learned something. Love is not always easy. Sometimes love is pain. Sometimes truth hurts more than lies. Still, I keep going. I study. I live. I breathe. I carry the memory of my mother, who loved me even if I was not her real child. I carry the memory of John, who was my first love and also my brother. This is my story. My first love was a secret I will never forget. My name is Elena. At that time, I was 19 years old. I lived in a small coastal town. The air was fresh with the smell of the sea. The houses were small and close together. People in the town knew each other. Everyone said hello in the morning. Everyone shared food and helped when there was trouble. My father was a fisherman. He went out early in his small boat. My mother cleaned fish and sold them in the market. I had 2 younger sisters. They were still in school and they played by the shore every day. Life was simple, but it was full of love. I had a dream. My dream was to be a nurse. I wanted to help people in the town when they were sick. I liked to see people smile again after they felt pain. I wanted to go to the city school to study nursing. My parents knew my dream. They told me I was clever. They said I was strong. They believed I could do it. But we did not have money for the city school. We could only pay for the small school in the town. Still, I wanted to try. I want to ask you something before I go on. If this story touches your heart, please subscribe, share it, and leave a comment where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. One evening, my parents called me into the room. Their faces were serious. My mother held my hand. Her hand was cold. My father looked down at the floor. My heart felt heavy because I knew something was wrong. My mother said, "Elena, a man wants to marry you." I did not understand. Marry me? I was only 19. I wanted to study more. I wanted to become a nurse. I said, "No, I don't want this." My father finally looked at me. His eyes looked sad. "We have no choice," he said. "We are in debt. We need help. This man is rich. He can help us. He can help your sisters." I felt tears on my face. I whispered, "But I do not know him." My mother said, "He is a good man. His name is Adrian. He lives in the capital city. He has a big job. He can give you a safe life." I wanted to scream. My life in the town was good. I had my family. I had my dream. But I saw the fear in my parents' faces. They were not doing this to hurt me. They wanted to keep us alive. I looked at my sisters. They were still young. They needed food and clothes. I closed my eyes and said, "Okay, I will do it." The wedding came fast. It was not in a church. It was at the town hall. I wore a white dress. My mother made it with care. It looked pretty, but I did not feel pretty. I felt like I was not real. My friends came to watch. They smiled and said I looked happy, but I was not happy. I smiled for them, but the smile was empty. I stood in front of the man I would marry. Adrian. He was tall. He had dark hair and serious eyes. He did not smile. He did not even look at me. I felt my hands shake. My voice was small when I said, "I do." His voice was steady when he said the same. He put a ring on my hand. It was cold. And then it was finished. I was married. After the short wedding, there was a meal. I sat next to Adrian at the long table. He did not talk to me. He spoke to other people in short words. He was polite but not warm. I felt invisible. My parents tried to speak with him, but he only gave small answers. I wanted to run away, but the time came for me to leave. I hugged my mother. She cried. "Be happy, my child," she whispered. I hugged my father. He held me tight. "He will take care of you," he said. I hugged my sisters. They only wanted me to stay. I felt broken. I walked to the car with Adrian. It was black and big. I had never been in a car like that before. He sat far on the other side. He looked out the window. The car moved away from my town. I looked back. I saw the sea. I saw the small houses. I saw my family. They became smaller and smaller. Then they were gone. The car ride was long. We drove for hours. The sky turned dark. I wanted to ask him where we were going, but I stayed silent. His face was like a wall. I was afraid to speak. When we reached the city, I saw many lights. The buildings were tall. There were so many cars. It was loud and fast. I felt lost. The car stopped in front of a tall building. It was not a house. It was an apartment tower. A man at the door opened it for us. He said, "Welcome, Mr. Adrian. Welcome, Mrs. Adrian." His voice was flat. Adrian walked in first. He did not wait for me. I followed behind. Inside, everything looked clean and cold. The floor was shiny. The walls were white. It felt empty. It did not feel like a home. A woman came. She was older. She wore a dark dress. Her name was Clara. She was the housekeeper. She said, "This way, madam. I will show you your room. My room. Not our room." She opened the door. The room was bigger than my whole house in the town. The bed was large and white. There was a wide window with no sea, only other buildings. Clara left me there. I sat on the bed. It was soft, but I felt no comfort. I was alone in a strange place with a strange man. I started to cry. I missed my family. I missed my dream. I felt I had lost everything. A soft knock came on the door. My heart jumped. Adrian walked in. He stood near the door. He looked at me but said nothing. His eyes were dark. I was shaking. I was afraid he would be angry because I cried. But he only spoke in a quiet voice. "You are tired," he said. "You should rest." That was all. Then he left and closed the door. I was alone again. I lay on the bed and cried until I fell asleep. When I woke up, the sun came through the big window. For a short moment, I forgot where I was. Then I remembered. I put on simple clothes from my bag and went down. The apartment was quiet. It felt empty. I found the kitchen. Clara was there. "Good morning, madam," she said. Her face was without a smile. "Good morning," I answered in a small voice. She said, "Mr. Adrian left for work at 6. He will come back late." She put food on the table for me. I ate alone. The table was big. The food was good, but I could not taste it. I missed my mother's cooking. I missed sitting with my sisters. I missed the sound of the sea. The days started to pass like this. I woke up alone. I ate alone. I walked around the big apartment alone. Cedrian left before I opened my eyes. He came back late when I was already in my room. I sometimes heard his steps on the floor, but I did not see him. It was like he was a ghost in the same house. I had nice clothes. I had good food. But I was not happy. I was lonely. I felt like a bird in a cage. The cage was shiny, but I was not free. One evening I walked into the kitchen. Clara was cooking rice. I watched her quietly. She looked at me and said, "Do you want to try?" Her voice was calm. I moved closer. I helped her wash vegetables. My hands were busy, and for a short time I did not feel so lonely. Clara was not warm, but she did not push me away. She let me stand beside her. It felt better than sitting alone. That night when I went to my room, I thought of my mother's food. I wished I could cook it here. Maybe Adrian would eat it. Maybe he would see me. The next morning, I asked Clara if I could use the kitchen. She looked surprised but said yes. I wanted to make a simple fish soup, the kind my mother often made. Clara gave me the pot and the fish. My hands moved slowly. I remembered each step from home. When the soup was ready, I placed it on the table. Adrian was not home. I sat at the long table and ate alone. Later that night, I came down and saw the empty pot. Someone had eaten the rest. My heart moved fast. It had to be Adrian. He came late, but he had tasted my soup. The next day, I tried again. I made bread with Clara's help. She watched me in silence, but I saw her eyes. There was a little light in them. That night, the bread was also gone from the table. Adrian never spoke to me, but I knew he ate what I cooked. It was a small sign. A very small one. But it made me feel less invisible. One afternoon, I found the library. The room was full of books. The shelves were tall. I touched the covers. My fingers moved slowly over the words. Books made me feel safe. I opened one and started to read. The words took me to another place. For a short while, I forgot about my cage. I came back to the library the next day, and the day after that. It became my secret place. Books were my only friends. One evening, I was in the library when the door opened. My heart jumped. Adrian walked in. He wore a dark suit. He looked tired. He stopped when he saw me. I froze. I wanted to leave, but my feet did not move. He looked at the book in my hand. His voice was low. "Do you like reading?" I nodded. "Yes," I whispered. He walked to a shelf and pulled out a small book. He handed it to me. "This one is good." It was a book of poems. I held it in my hands. "Thank you," I said. He gave me a short look, then walked out. It was only a few words, but it was our first real talk. I felt a small light in the heavy dark. The next days passed the same way. He left early and came back late. But sometimes he stopped when he saw me. Once he asked, "Do you need anything?" I said no. He said nothing more, but I felt seen. Another night, I left soup on the table again. In the morning, the bowl was empty. My food was reaching him even if my words could not. That gave me a little hope. 1 week later, I decided to go outside. The apartment had a garden. The plants were dying. Flowers hung low. The soil was dry. I thought of the small garden near my home. My mother loved her flowers. I wanted to touch the earth again. I asked Clara for tools. She gave me a small shovel. I went into the garden and started working. My hands were dirty, but I felt happy. I pulled weeds and watered the soil. It was hard work, but I wanted to bring life back to this empty place. One evening, I was still in the garden when the sun went down. I heard a step behind me. I turned. Adrian stood there. His face was calm. He looked at the flowers. His voice was soft. "The garden looks better," he said. I felt my cheeks warm. "Thank you," I whispered. "I like flowers." He stood still for a moment, then spoke again. "My mother loved this garden. After she passed away, no one cared for it." I looked at him. It was the first time he shared something about himself. His eyes were not cold. I saw sadness. "I am sorry," I said. He nodded. "You are bringing it back to life. Thank you." For the first time, we stood together in silence that did not feel heavy. The air was calm. The sunset painted the sky. I did not feel so alone. After that day, Adrian started to come home a little earlier. Sometimes we ate together at the big table. At first, we did not talk much. The sound of our forks was the only sound. But slowly, words began to grow. I told him about my town by the sea. I told him about my sisters and how they played near the shore. I told him about my dream of being a nurse. His eyes stayed on me. He listened. He asked small questions. I felt he wanted to know me. It was a strange but warm feeling. One night, a storm came. The wind was strong. The rain hit the glass windows. Thunder shook the walls. I was afraid. In my town, I used to hide in my mother's arms during storms. But here I was, alone in the big room. I covered my head with the blanket. Then I heard a soft knock. The door opened. Adrian came in holding a candle. The light made his face gentle. "Are you all right?" he asked. I could not speak. I only nodded. He sat on the edge of the bed. He did not touch me. He said, "It is only a storm. It will pass." His voice was calm. He told me a short story about when he was a boy and feared the rain too. His voice made me feel safe. He stayed until the storm grew quiet. I fell asleep while he was still there. When I woke in the morning, he was gone. But the fear was not as strong anymore. Something in the air felt different. He was no longer only a stranger. He was someone who could stay close when I needed it. The next evening, I was again in the library. He came in. He looked less tired. He asked me, What book do you like most? I showed him the poems he had given me. His lips moved a little, almost like a smile. He said, "Good choice." He sat in a chair on the other side of the room. He opened a book too. We read in silence, but the silence was soft, not heavy. For the first time since my wedding, I felt peace. As the days passed, the house began to feel warmer. I placed flowers from the garden on the table. I cooked food that smelled like my home. Adrian noticed. Sometimes he said, "It is nice." Sometimes he only ate in silence. But he always finished the plate. One day, he came home with a box. He placed it in front of me. "This is for you." I opened it. Inside were books about health and medicine. My eyes filled with tears. He remembered my dream. He said, "You can study here. You are smart. You can do it." His voice was steady, but I could see he meant it. I whispered, "Thank you. This is the best gift." That night I started reading the books. My heart felt alive again. Little by little, Adrian and I spoke more. We laughed once when he told me about a mistake at work. His laugh was deep. It made his serious face look different. I felt warm inside. I wanted to hear it again. Each day, the distance between us became smaller. I did not feel like a ghost anymore. I was still afraid of the future, but now I also had a small light of hope. The days kept moving. Life in the apartment was not the same anymore. Adrian came home earlier. He sometimes sat with me in the living room. We read books together. We shared the same space, and the silence felt safe. The house did not feel so empty. I started to smile more. One evening, he walked into the kitchen while I was cooking. I was making fish soup again. The smell filled the air. He stood by the table and watched me. "It smells good," he said. I looked up in surprise. "It is from my town," I told him. "My mother used to make it." He nodded slowly. "I remember my mother's food too. She cooked with love." His voice was soft. I could hear the memory in it. That night we ate together. For the first time, he told me about his work, his father, and the pressure he felt. I listened to him the way he had listened to me. I felt closer to him. One Saturday, Adrian asked me, "Do you want to go outside?" My heart jumped. I had not been out with him before. We walked together in a small park near the apartment. The air was cool. Children played on the grass. Families laughed. I felt alive again. Adrian pointed at the flowers. "You like these, don't you?" I smiled. "Yes, very much." We walked side by side, not talking much, but the silence was kind. One night I was sitting in the living room. The fire burned in the fireplace. I was reading one of the books he gave me. Adrian came in and sat next to me. He had a book in his hand too. For a long time we read quietly. Then I felt a strong wish to be closer. I put my book down. I moved nearer to him on the sofa. My heart was fast. I put my head on his shoulder. At first he looked surprised. Then he put his arm around me. I felt safe. I smiled for real. It was not an empty smile. It was full of peace. He whispered, "Elena." My name sounded beautiful from his lips. I whispered back, Adrian. He looked into my eyes. For a moment, we only looked. Then he kissed me. It was not cold. It was gentle and warm. I closed my eyes and let the moment stay. It was the kiss of my husband, not a stranger. From that night, things were different. We ate together every evening. We spoke more. We laughed more. I told him about my sisters again and again. He listened with care. He told me about his dreams for the future. I told him about my dream of nursing. He said he would help me study. He said I could do it. His words gave me strength. The apartment started to feel like a home. I placed flowers in the rooms. I cooked food that made me think of my town. I played soft music sometimes. Adrian did not stop me. He looked pleased. One evening, he even asked me to play more. The cold walls of the house felt warmer. The heavy silence was gone. One night, as we sat by the fire, Adrian held my hand. "Elena," he said, "I was not kind at first. I did not know how to speak to you. I thought you would not understand me. But now I see you are strong. You are kind. I am glad you are here." His words filled me with light. I squeezed his hand. "I was scared of you," I said. "I thought my life was over. But now I am glad too." We smiled at each other. I looked back on the day of the wedding. I thought my life ended there. I thought I lost everything. But I was wrong. A new life started that day. It was not easy. It was full of fear and tears. But it slowly turned into something else. It turned into care. It turned into love. I learned something important. Life can look dark, but it can still bring light later. Love can grow in places you never expect. My parents had said Adrian was a good man. Now I knew it myself. He was my husband. He was my friend. He was the man I loved. Thank you for listening to my story. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel. Share this story with your friends so they can listen too. And write a comment to tell me what you felt. Your support helps me bring more stories for you.